Racing games, a genre where you can download free cheats, use them in pro tournaments to win thousands of dollars, and in the end, no one will be able to catch you. Now, there is no shortage of people getting caught in other genres. In racing games, however, these cases are very few. Despite weak cheat protection in almost all of these games, encountering cheaters in online matches is not common, and that is because it's extremely easy to hide cheats in racing games. A small increase in power or grip is virtually impossible to spot, and yet it gives you an unfair advantage. Even if you notice something suspicious, you can't really prove anything, which is exactly the case in a recent controversy in F1 games, where one of the pros has a clear advantage over everyone else, leading most people to believe he's cheating, and yet nothing is 100% confirmed. But there's no way it's only one person. Take another game for example, where an investigation revealed that at least 60% of matches have a cheater in them. What do you think this number is going to be in a game that's easier to hide cheats in, with less protection and a six-figure prize pool? Forza Motorsport 7 shares these traits, and it's the game I'll be playing. I signed up for the only tournament I could find, with a prize pool of $250 that is shared among the top 5 players. I experimented with cheats in the first 2 races and still experienced major skill issues, but I didn't get banned and no one got suspicious, so now it was time to use it for real. I increased my grip by 1% for the 3rd race, only to get stuck in traffic for half of its duration. In the 4th race, however, the track was more empty and I could absolutely fly. The cheats improved my times by nearly 0.2 of a second per minute, which adds up to over 10 seconds in a 1-hour race. It might not sound like much, but at the highest level, it can easily move you up a few positions, which is exactly what happened here. Even though I was driving passively, I caught up to 2nd place 2/3 of the race in and overtook him by the end of it. Without cheats, it was likely that I would have ended up in 4th place instead. That's a big change, but once again, no one had any suspicions and I'm still not banned. Forza devs, get on it. Now all I have to do is to take part in the remaining races to win a share of that prize pool. In an alternate world, this video wouldn't exist and I successfully get away. Considering how easy that was, I'm sure this is exactly what is happening in many other tournaments. I'm not pointing any fingers, it's just hard to believe that every top pro racer is legitimate. They just haven't been caught yet, so how can we stop them? The first answer that comes to mind is basically useless. It doesn't matter if your game has an intrusive anti-cheat or is console exclusive. Remember, these players are making tens of thousands of dollars. Hiring a programmer to bypass these anti-cheats won't be a problem for them. It will stop the average troll from rage hacking in online races, sure, but you don't need an anti-cheat to detect a sudden increase in acceleration. All you need is a simple look at the telemetry log. Many racing games come with a telemetry system that stores every information about your car at every tick. This includes basic info like position and speed, to small details like suspension and tire temperature. Some racing games allow you to export and access this data. On paper, this allows us to spot anomalies in the car's behavior and catch cheaters. However, it's not that simple. First of all, we need these log files. Looking for them reveals the first major issue with most of these tournaments, and that is how terribly they're documented. The 3rd biggest racing game in terms of prize pool is Turbo Racing League. Yeah, it had $1 million tournament, and yet there's hardly any information available about it, not even a video replay. How could anyone, even the tournament organizers, approve the legitimacy of such an event? They clearly had zero experience with esports, so let's see how the big boys do it. The 2019 Forza RC was sponsored by Lamborghini, in a game owned by Microsoft. Surely it would be easy to find why are 3 out of the 9 weeks missing on YouTube? And this playlist. I was double checking sources for this video and noticed they removed it from the official Forza channel. There's another playlist on one of their other channels, but it's missing the same replays, and I'm not sure why since you can find all of them on Twitch. They're somehow still up after 4 years, otherwise this $250,000 tournament would have been lost to time. These multi-billion-dollar companies can't keep record of a video replay in a supposedly big event. We can't expect them to even think about recording the telemetry. Out of all the races in this event, there is only one in-game replay file available, shared by one of the competitors. However, even the replay files aren't enough. Most games only store a fraction of the car's information in the replay file. They do so to save space, as even the full telemetry file for one car can get really big. Still, there should be an option to save the full data for track and each car if these games want to claim to be esports ready. But let's say we have the telemetry data, how can you even spot a small boost in the car's performance? And that's what I'm asking you. I used the same car to record 4 laps around the same track. One of these laps is using a 1% grip boost, which should be easy to spot. Or is it? Check the video replays and log files in the description and comment below with your guess. The answer will be in the pinned comments 1 week after this video goes live. But why do we even need people to analyze it? Can't you just check these files using the game engine? The answer highlights another big problem with these games. I have previously tested Forza Horizon 5 and demonstrated how big of an impact different hardware and frame rates have on the game and its physics. There are obvious examples of this in other games, but I'm surprised by the lack of info on subtler things. Sim racing has one of the most rabid and competitive fan bases, some of which dedicate a lot of time analysing data to see where they can gain time or improve the car's setup. But have they ever thought of just increasing frame rate? Most of the comparisons only focus on visual clarity. I only found one lap time comparison which confirms that frame rate affects times in one of the biggest and most competitive racing games. You could say these differences come from floating point inaccuracies in computers, but to this degree. We know it's possible to avoid it in simpler games, so why not take it a step further? If you can afford to spend $500,000 to achieve the millimeter accuracy that no one will notice on one track, why not do the same for your game engine? It just seems that priorities and resources are being put in the wrong places. That goes for any game. We should really be over this. Consequently, analyzing data files is not a reliable method for cheat detection at the moment. And while a more deterministic game engine solves these issues, it creates smaller ones like pre-recorded inputs, assisted inputs, or just using AI, but that's another problem for the world to figure out. So in conclusion, cheating in racing games is currently way too easy, and while it doesn't take much effort to detect rage hacks, these games need to be made better to detect the more subtle ones. All esports tournaments need to record every data and have stricter rules in place to avoid cheating at the highest level. These changes make it much harder to cheat in online matches and almost impossible in local events. And that's everything. It should go without saying that you shouldn't go after anyone mentioned in this video, except me of course. In a previous video, I explained why every racing game should implement a competitive ranked mode, but after being down this rabbit hole, I don't think any of them should. Some people in this industry, and Reddit mods, are pretending like everything is fine, but the truth wasn't really hard to figure out.